Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Your Excellency, our national chairman of our great party, the UDC, our chief host, the Executive Governor of Kaduna State, and our chairman, Nigeria Governors Forum, and the Governor of Zamfara State, the deputy governors who are here with us, invited guests, let me say all protocols duly observed. First of all, I have to congratulate the Governor of Kaduna State for giving the leadership to organize this international economic and investment summit for the second time in Kaduna. I am not surprised because Kaduna was the headquarters of the northern Nigeria, and presently the headquarters of Northwest, while Kano is the commercial nerve center of the Northwest. This economic and investment summit is an eye-opener because it shows that oil cannot solve our problem. What will solve our problem is the political will, is the initiation, is to be versatile and to be open-minded so that you create an enabling environment for development partners, for investors, and even for traders. And that is what we are seeing today. I am highly impressed because I did not have the chance to attend the first economic summit. I believe Kaduna is born again. Kaduna State is not the former Kaduna that we knew. Kaduna is not a sleeping giant. Kaduna is an active giant. I believe, Mr. Governor, you continue.
Let me also at this point invite His Excellency, Governor.
Not for the first state, but for the Northwest and the Northern states in general. This is one of the initiatives by and on the Governor of Kaduna State, in which all the governors are rallying to showcase what Northern Nigeria and what Nigeria has for the world. The issue of economy is no longer a history, nor a situation since our inception in 2015. So this kind of intellect initiatives in place so that we can be able to drive the agendas for Kaduna and collectively to benefit, and part of the Nigeria to benefit. Without the cooperation of all, it's going to be difficult for us to get to our goals. Let's put politics aside. We know we're politicians, and we play politics day and night. But we shouldn't allow the politics to overshadow of our road interests of our nation, of our road interests of respective states, of our road interests of ourselves. Mr. Governor, I thank you once again for giving me this opportunity to be here to make these short remarks, and I pray Almighty God to continue to bless you, to bless the state, and bless our country, Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Governor of Zamfara State, Aziz Yari, Chairman of Governance Forum. When it all started with this administration in Kaduna State, the slogan that this government rode on was making Kaduna great again. At the point where we are today, we can confirm and say without any out of doubt that Malam Nasser El-Rufai will make Kaduna great. These are the points of doing it, inshallah. Let me at this point invite the Deputy Governor of Jigawa State, Reggie Ibrahim Hassan Adija, to lay this word and give support to the local government this afternoon.
Very much. Your Excellency, our National Chairman, Your Excellency the Governor of Kaduna State, Your Excellency the Governor of Kano State, Your Excellency the Governor of Kwara State, and Chairman of the Nigerian Government Forum, my friend and colleague, the Deputy Governor of Kaduna State, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Mine will be considerably shorter since I'm here in a representative capacity. I'd also like to lend my words or agree with what the last two governors have said about the prominence of Kaduna State in the scheme of things, not just in the Northwest, but in Nigeria as a whole. Commend the governance, the vision, the administrative sagacity of Malam Nasser El-Rufai in turning around in a very short period the fortunes of Kaduna State. For us in Jigawa State, we have a unique relationship with Kaduna, and I'm not going to say that we are shameless in our imitation of whatever we see that is positive in Kaduna State. I have been here on more than one occasion, and every time we come here and see something that we believe impact on our people, we go out of our way to not only borrow it, but to imitate and to always beg Malam El-Rufai for whatever advice and assistance that is needed to carry out that project, which is why some of the similarities we have in some of the projects and concepts that we see here, might be simply a case of two states being in the same region having similar problems. But I can assure you a lot of what we do, we borrow hook, line, and sinker from what we see happening in Kaduna State. And we may not have the courage, we may not have the political indifference, because what you see being done here, very, very difficult. It's always a balance between politics and governance. Malam Nasser has decided to face governance head-on, sometimes at the expense of politics as we know it. And these are some of the things we see a second-term governor taking on. For someone with an election in the next 2 years, embark on the kind of dynamic programs. It's very difficult because it might not be fully understood by the populace, and it might take time to mature. But I think over the last 6 or 7 months, some of the discordant voices we have been hearing talking about Kaduna and governance style have been silenced, because not only are you seeing visionary and very exemplary ideas being established, we are also beginning to see the result of careful planning in terms of massive infrastructure development, especially in Kaduna. For this, Malam Nasser El-Rufai, and I want to, I believe there's a session later on where we're going to talk about regional integration. For us, we have gone a long way. We have 3-4 model states around the country that we never fail in reaching out to whenever we have a problem, whenever we have a program that needs implementation, and it has worked for us wonderfully well so far. So I thank Malam Nasser, I thank the organizers of this conference. We have a fledgling investment promotion outfit whose staff have been here since yesterday. and studying what has been going on here, so that as usual we can take what we can back to Jigawa, and hopefully we are having something along this direction in another 2 or 3 months. I'd like to use this opportunity to invite not only Malam Nasir El-Rufai, the rest of our governors here, and the national chairman who have already hinted, to please come and support us as we begin to emulate what we believe are prime examples of good governance in Nigeria. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you to the Jigawa State there, Excellency Barrister Ibrahim Hassan. Welcome back home. All right, and now from the private sector, let me at this point invite Malam Ibrahim Boyi, the MD, Pushing Automobile Minister. Malam Ibrahim Boyi.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good day to you all. A renowned emerging markets investor called Dr. Joseph McMobius was asked a question that what was the most important condition for him to invest in an emerging market? And his reply was simple. He said, rule of law. In the simplicity of the rule of law, however, lies a lot of intricacies. The rule of law is about clear rules of play, regulations, guidelines, and a level playing field for investors. Sanctity of contracts and agreements, enforcement of rights, fast and equitable justice system, ease of business in terms of registration, licenses, fees, etc. Investment protection and security, property ownership and rights, easy entry and easy exit. The rule of law is a hallmark of good governance. Living in Kaduna in the last 2 years since the administration of Malam Nasir El-Rufai, I have seen and I've witnessed unprecedented strides in creating the right environment for the attraction of investments into the state. Little wonder, therefore, Kaduna is already receiving awards and recognitions as a favorite destination for investments and the fastest growing state in Nigeria. In my field of business and being in the sector susceptible to foreign investments, we have observed greater commitment and resolve of our foreign technical partners, not only to renew their interest in the Nigerian market, but to actually increase their investments. There are already plans by Pujo, France, to make Kaduna a hub for auto manufacturing in sub-Saharan Africa. This kind of optimism and interest only emerged based on the strides and clarity of purpose of the government of Malam Nasir El-Rufai. We congratulate the government and wish to advise them to keep up raising the levers for creating the right environment for business and job creation. This can be achieved by build the skills and capacity of people, invest more in infrastructure, and facilitate ease of doing business. And one thing that is profound for me in this KadInvest 2.0 is the fact that for the first time, we're seeing a state planning for over 30 years. This is unprecedented, and we hope this will be the beginning of long-term and strategic plan for all our states and the nation in general. Congratulations, Kaduna State Government, and welcome to KadInvest 2.0. Thank you very much.
Thank you on that. The MD, Peugeot Automobile, Nigeria, Malam Ibrahim. What all of these has confirmed is that Governor M5, Nassir M5 Kaduna State is working and Kaduna State is moving forward. Only yesterday, one of the finest of them all in the traditional institution confirmed that delivery of service that Malam M5 is doing to Kaduna State is in the right direction. We also got the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Chief John Odigiri, confirming that Nassir M5 is working with the APC agenda, and they are all behind him. Brother governors have also confirmed that this afternoon that Nassir M5 is setting the pace, and will continue to urge him not to relent on this effort to make Kaduna great again. We're about to end the plenary session.
Thank you very much. Okay, for more information on Kaduna and Kaduna investments, please get in touch with KadInvest 2.0. There is a website which we'll tell you later. You can access that for more information. Before we call for the plenary session with the kind permission of their excellencies, I want to give this announcement. All investors with KADIPA, please come to the far right of the hall for a brief meeting with KADIPA just before lunch. But don't interrupt any of the plenary sessions, okay? Immediately after the last plenary session, you move to the right side of the hall for that meeting. Okay? The first plenary session for the afternoon is development finance in sub-nationals. And the Honorable Commissioner, Kaduna State Finance, Alhaji Suleiman Aulubai, is moderating. And we have our panelists as Hajja Zainab Shamsuna Ahmed, Honorable Minister of State for Budget and National Planning, the Kaduna State Indigene, Honorable Minister Hajja Adishatu Abubakar, Minister of State, Trade and Investments, also an indigene of Northwest Nigeria, Ms. Emma Essia, Country Manager, Nigeria International Finance Corporation, IFC. We have Mr. Wahid Olagunju, the Acting Managing Director, Bank of Industry, BOI. We have Ebrima Faal, Country Director, African Development Bank, AFDB. Then we have Honorable Muhammad Gambo Shaibu, the Vice President, Nigeria Islamic Development Bank, IDB. And last but not the least, we have Mr. Eyo Eko, Executive Business Development, GE Transport, Nigeria. That makes up our panelists. We're waiting for Mr. Eyo Eko. Okay, Mr. Eyo, we're waiting for you before I hand over the microphone, okay, to the moderator who is already seated. Okay. Mr. Wahid Olagunju has taken his place. Okay. All right. Commissioner of Finance, 40 minutes for this session, and it begins now. Good luck, sir. Thank you.
2 minutes. Your Excellencies, the Governor, my Governor, Governor of Kaduna State, Ahmad El-Rufai, Your Excellencies, the Governor of Kano and Zamfara State, Your Excellency, the new #1 party in Nigeria, the chairman, John Oyegu, Your Excellencies, the Deputy Governors of Kaduna and Jigawa State, Your Excellency, the wife of the Kaduna State Governor and initiator of Kaduna Children Nutrition, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I wish to welcome members of this panel that promises to be very interesting, which will be dealing principally on development finance. Ladies and gentlemen, it is agreed generally that unless Nigeria adequately addresses its infrastructure deficits, we will continue to lag behind. Meaningful economic development indices cannot be achieved. At its maximum, failure to address infrastructure deficits will widen the development gap between Nigeria and such countries as China, India, Brazil, South Korea, to mention but a few, that have continued to engage in serious repositioning of their infrastructure for development challenges to be overcome. This plenary examines how the state can access development finance and how it can be used more productively and better aligned with the growth and value chains in the state priority investment. To discuss this very interesting topic are the following members of the panel. I have to my immediate left the Honorable Minister of Trade and Investment, Hajia Aisha Abubakar. You are welcome. I also have Mr. Wahid Olagoju, the Acting Director, Bank of Industry. You are welcome, sir. Our own very own, our own daughter of Kaduna State, Hajia Zainab Ahmed, the Honorable Minister of State for Budget and National Planning. You are welcome. I have also Mr. Ebri Mafar, the Country Director of African Development Bank. You are welcome, sir. Miss M.A. Essen is the Country Manager, Nigeria International Finance Corporation. It's good to have you here. Finally, and not the least, I have a friend of the state, someone that has been with us all along this administration came on board, Chief Epo Ayo. You are all welcome. It's good to have you back home. Honorable Ministers, it is good to have you here. I will take on our own daughter, who by no coincidence is here, and she has always been supportive of the state. Honorable Minister, the economic growth initiative was launched just yesterday, and it will be good to share what the takeaways were from yesterday's event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Mr. Muhammadu Buhari, launched the Nigeria Economic Recovery and Growth Plan. That plan was led and coordinated by the Ministry of Budget and National Planning, but it is a national plan that we sought and harvested inputs from the states, from the National Assembly, from development partners, from the private sector, as well as from the public and civil society. So it is a plan for the nation, it's not a plan for the federal government. This plan is focused on returning Nigeria to the path of growth. We are aiming to achieve growth of 7% by the year 2020. And it has some key strategic initiatives, which includes stabilizing the macroeconomic environment by aligning fiscal policy, monetary policy, and money policy. It also has some key priority initiatives that include food security using the agricultural transformation agenda. We are striving to mobilize, just like it's being done in this forum today, the growth of industry driven by the small, medium, and small, medium enterprises, so that the concentration is not just on big businesses. We want to ensure that growth is inclusive, that nobody is left behind. There's a special focus on the development of infrastructure. As we see today, the National Infrastructure Master Plan has made an assessment of an infrastructure deficit that is up to $30 trillion. And this is a plan that is meant to be rolled out over a 10-year period. And that means that every year we need at least a minimum of $30 billion to be invested in the economy. It is clear that government, both federal and state, cannot on its own provide these resources. We need investment from the private sector, so investment from the private, unlocking investment from the private sector as we are seeking to do is vital. And we also need the development partners to come along and invest in us so that we can provide the critical infrastructure that is needed for industries to grow.
Thank you. Mr. Tarek of AFU, securing development financing by both private and public sectors of the economy requires a fairly predictable policy environment, investment readiness, and macroeconomic and political stability. How do you react to this?
Thank you very much, moderator. That's a very good question. I think generally infrastructure finance is quite large. The need for infrastructure finance. As a bank in Nigeria specifically, I think we have $67 billion in terms of investment. About 50% of that is in the public sector, and another 50% is in the private sector. And specifically in terms of national finance, person that is so good is going to start marching on this. We are very cautious of the need and the demands that the post-2015 development agenda places on states in particular, for example. And therefore, we are now focusing, most of our lending to states are going through the federal government because of legislation, either as implementers or as direct loans. But we are now looking at subnational finance as a standalone project, of course, subject to government legislation as well.
Thank you. Mrs. Seme, good to have you here. And how will you try to ensure that the Lighting Africa project, which is set to be a huge success around the globe, but the people of Kaduna State are yet to feel its impact. Will you explain on how Kaduna will benefit from this initiative?
Lighting Africa is one of the many projects that we have in Nigeria that we are focused on bringing the impact of development to the bottom of the pyramid. So it is a program that essentially will bring off-grid solutions, solar solutions, directly to households. Now, what we found as we have rolled out Lighting Africa in a number of countries is that it's very important to look at the entire ecosystem. So it's not enough just to engage with government. We also have to engage with manufacturers. We have to do a lot of work around consumer awareness. So it's very important to look at the entire ecosystem to ensure that every stakeholder understands what we're trying to do, and ultimately when the products are rolled out, there is high acceptance rates. There's also a standards component. So I can assure you that in the near future, the residents and indigenous of Kaduna State will feel the impact of the Lighting Africa program. But I wanted to make another reference as well, because you opened with the challenge of infrastructure, the infrastructure deficit that the country is facing. And one point I wanted to make in that regard, again, is around the need for partnership. And the subject of this panel is called Development Finance for Subnationals. And to that question, I want to say the answer is yes, absolutely. But what it will take, particularly in the Nigerian context where many states struggle to generate sufficient revenue, is a really strong focus on public-private partnerships. And so the more we can see state governments partnering with the private sector, coming up with concepts that are viable and are commercially acceptable, that is really where we're going to cross that gap. So, and the question now is, can we find and can we put in place innovative partnerships to make that happen? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that enlightening exposition. We hope this continues the partnership between you. Chief Echo, until recently you were the Commissioner at National Electricity and Regulatory Commission, and you have moved now to the transportation area, which makes it all infrastructure related. Where do you see us going in the next 5 years, and which policy should we tinker with to getting this infrastructure development right on the board? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Well, I don't think it's so recent. It's almost 2 years now since I left there. But to come to transportation, I think the takeoff point should be, interestingly, something that the President said in his goodwill message yesterday. He commended the state government for essentially taking the initiative to begin to work at subnational level on infrastructure. I think that after 60 years, it's pretty clear that the federal government alone has a huge responsibility, not just to build, but also to maintain our infrastructure stock. And so a lot more has to be done at state level. So I would say two things that I would advocate. First, the federal government still owns infrastructure, national infrastructure. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done in that sector. But at the same time, it's also carrying through private sector PPP initiatives. Now, in approaching DFIs for development funding, I would say that those funds should be tied as we go forward to those areas or initiatives by the government that are bringing in private sector participation. In many cases, it's difficult to come through a concession and agree a concession until you have secured the federal government's own obligation to actually rehabilitate that infrastructure as it were. So I'll give rail as an example. GE is currently working through a procurement process for infrastructure, but you find out that going forward, the bit of infrastructure work that was done by the government with the rehabilitation, but all of it has not been completed. And when you look at infrastructure or rail concessions in Africa, they likely don't have failed, likely failed because national governments did not adhere to their own obligations to actually rehabilitate that infrastructure and bring it back to the point and to the private sector to operate it. So there has to be quite a bit of working together in ensuring that funds are actually sent or directed at those areas where the government's responsibility has to come back. The second point I will make is to look at sub-regional, and it's not about transport now, but infrastructure generally. The state governments who are here, who have spoken about leadership of Kaduna State in what it's doing. And one of those things that the Kaduna State government is doing is actually bringing back sub-regional initiatives. So in the Northwest, for instance, there's a lot that can be done on electrification, rail electrification, and transmission. And I think that if DFIs are attracted to those areas, if anything, they should begin to look at what the states and the regional blocks are doing in the country and supporting those initiatives. So those two things are what I would really contribute to.
Thank you very much, how do you propose the recently established development bank address the issues confronting small and medium enterprises, SMEs, realizing that SMEs in their jurisdictions contribute substantially to the GDP, and Nigeria cannot be an exception, especially Kaduna State. In addition to many other multiplier effects of job creation and potential taxable income. So this is
Thank you very much. It's yet another initiative at solving the development financing challenge in the country. We've been at it for the past 58 years because the Bank of Industry owes its origin to Icon Limited that was established in 1959 and reconstructed into the Nigerian Industrial Development Bank in 1964. And incidentally, in 1964, the International Finance Corporation actually handled that reconstruction, and IFC provided the first chief executive. And IFC is still in Nigeria today. As you can see, the country manager is also on his panel. The ADB too has also supported the Nigerian Industrial Development Bank and even the Bank of Industry in terms of mobilizing suitable financial resources to meet the development financing needs of the country. I underline suitable because we're talking of mobilizing funds from domestic and international sources, public and private sectors that will be useful to entrepreneurs in Nigeria and even public sector institutions. But to address your question, the Development Bank of Nigeria is wholesale DFI. Sometimes in 2013, the central bank came up with guidelines for DFIs in Nigeria that provided for a two-tier structure. So there will be a wholesale DFI to mobilize suitable financial resources for on-lending to MSMEs in the country through microfinance banks and through the retail DFIs. The Bank of Industry, under that framework, is a retail DFI, along with the Bank of Agriculture and the Federal Mortgage Bank, and indeed the Nigerian Export-Import Bank. So the launch of DNB is a welcome development in the sense that they are minding people to shop around for suitable financial resources that we can lend to MSMEs. And typically, these are long-term finances. You know, we're talking about 10-year and single-digit interest rates. Because those financing is one of the most important factors of production, as we all know. And stability is very, very important. Not market-driven money. Because market money are usually short tenure and high interest rates. Entrepreneurs need long tenure and low interest funding, particularly at the launch of the economic recovery and growth program that was launched yesterday by the federal government of Nigeria. A lot of development finance is required. We have a GDP of 100 trillion, and the federal government budget is just 7 trillion, which shows that it's supposed to be a catalyst to mobilize resources in and outside the country, but also from the private sector to support development and security of the country.
Thank you very much. And finally, the Honorable Minister of Trade and Investment. Before your arrival now, the various MPAs in the state signed a service delivery charter, and they were mostly aimed at reducing the time frame between application of businesses for business permit, land titling, and a few others. And new milestones are being set in Kaduna State, all aimed towards the ease of doing business, reducing the time and plan immediately. Honorable Minister, will you throw more light on what the state probably would need to do to better leverage on these areas?
Thank you very much for the question. First, I would like to commend the Kaduna State and the governor in particular for signing the charter, because this is a very strong indication that Kaduna State is indeed open for business. The challenges that we're facing today need to be simplified by reduction in bureaucracy and bottlenecks. And signing up for this charter is what it means. At the federal government level, you're aware that there's a presidential council on the ease of doing business. And that council has been working effectively, particularly since February 2017. So far, we've been able to key into 3 reforms: the entry and exit of people, the entry and exit of goods, and transparency in government procedures. What this means is that working very closely with the aviation sector and transport sector, we're able to sanitize, especially the Lagos airport, so you don't have touts receiving you. We have a single form now for people when they come in. There's a directive to issue visa from foreign missions in 48 hours. We now have 4 countries participating on the visa on arrival. When it comes to the issue of ports, there's synergy between the council itself and the port authority for clearance. So there's one bureaucratic process that you go through. So this cuts out delays and inefficiency clearing of goods at the ports. Transparency in government procedures also now means that all PIO or major MDAs, that's ministry departments and agencies, have functional websites where you can go and find
question from the floor by way of questions or whatever that the floor feels that I will help you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Shion Kwakwani. I have two questions. For BOI, I am very much aware of some of the efforts that is being made in your ministry, but I'm very curious. Do we have a database of Nigerian businesses, especially in the informal sector? That's the first question. The second question is, what specifically are we doing to actually improve the competitiveness of the informal sector? Are we organizing them? And are we building capacity so that our informal, the entrepreneurs, the businessmen can actually have the ability to be able to compete in their product? The second question, sorry,
thank you. Just one. Yes, please.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Omadi Salam. My question goes to the BOI. First, I want to say that most of the loans and grants, especially, I want to give an example of the loans, the grant given out now by the former government. I forgot the name now. Most of the people that access that fund, I can say high percentage of them or of those entrepreneur companies are no more in existence. What I've seen is that most of the grants and loans given out to entrepreneurs by government and individuals in Nigeria within 2 to 5 years, most of those companies have died out. And my thought is that most of the basis we use in giving out such loans and grants are basically theoretical. What you can write, if you write a beautiful business proposal, loans are given to you. And those are given to people that are not real entrepreneurs. Do you agree with me on that? If you do, what are we doing to ensure that our real entrepreneurs are given capacity building to ensure better survival after getting this fund of grant? Because I assume that the fund or the grant is not as important as the capacity, the staying spirit to remain in the business even when it's not working very well yet.
Mr. Adokojo, I think the first one is yours.
Well, it's not the Bank of Industry's responsibility to compile database, but however, we work with the National Bureau of Statistics and SMEDA, that is the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, and they have succeeded in jointly organizing 2 national surveys, and they remain the most reliable data we have in Nigeria today. They reported 37 million MSMEs in Nigeria, and it's true, they also confirmed that most of them do not have access to financing through the established financial institutions in the country. So that's why efforts have been made on a collaborative basis to build the capacity of our SMEs. We hit the nail on the head. I make bold to say that we've never been short of funds supply-wise for MSMEs in Nigeria. What we are lacking are banking proposals that can attract funding on a viable and sustainable basis. And that's why the Bank of Industry appointed more than 200 business development service providers or SME consultants, including the Kaduna Business School, to vet the business ideas of potential entrepreneurs and help them package banking proposals. And that speaks to the CAD STEP program that we have with the Kaduna State Government. The Kaduna Business School has a website that is jointly managed by KBS and the Bank of Industry. Young potential entrepreneurs submit their business ideas and proposals to that website. They are screened, and today we train almost 1,000 youth in Kaduna State have passed through that program, and we've been able to lend to them substantially in the last 1 year. Our risk assets in Kaduna State grew by about 11%, from 35 million to 40.3 million between and a number of them went to the CAP-STEP beneficiaries. But steps have been taken to, on a continuous basis, improve the capacity. Right now, Kaduna Business School has a mandated by the Bank of Industry to work with all the 19 northern states to ensure that the enterprise development centers in those states are equipped with the trainer skills such that they can also help train textile entrepreneurs in the states across the country. Now, the Lagos Business School is handling the roles of the enterprise development centers in the southern part of the country. So we are working closely with the EDCs in ensuring that we build the capacity of MSMEs before we make funding available to them, because that is very, very crucial. And then lastly, I can't remember the scheme you are talking about, but I can assure you that all the projects financed by the Bank of Industry will start with KYC. In other words, know your customer. You must tell us what you are. Are you a limited liability company? Are you a business name holder? And you must show certificate of incorporation by the Corporate Affairs Commission, or even a cooperative registered with the state governments. So rest assured that most of the business finance are performing. That is why the non-performing loans ratio of the Bank of Industry as of close of business last year stood at 3.72%, which is lower than the central bank's threshold of 5%. The industry average, according to the FSS report released by the central bank last week, shows that the NPL was 14% industry-wide, but at the Bank of Industry, we recorded 3.72%, which means that more than 96% of our loans are performing, and that shows that they did not die, they did not collapse. They are surviving entities. We give loans to companies whose future we are not sure, because we do proper due diligence. Look at the track record of what that enables us to project to the future to see how you can work. And then the MSMEs will ensure that the business development providers work with them and hold their hands to ensure that they properly utilize the funds that we make available to them. It also helps the recovery process, and that's how our MPL ratio is very, very good. Thank you
very much. We've been requested to be gender sensitive, and I've seen a few hands from some ladies around the hall. So, yes, lady.
Good afternoon. My name is Abiola Bashoro, MD ZLM. My question is for UOI. How can we begin to pay more attention to private organizations that have existing contracts with state governments? Because this is what we see. It happened last year here at KadInvest, where I made a point and we approached BOI and we're still here. I believe the issue is this. The financial institutions will always say they're not sure if the state government will keep their own side of the contracts, which means will they pay. But we see financial institutions all the time around state governments, around all the activities, but it looks like the confidence you have, which is the only security we have for us to make some repayments for loans, are not being, let's say, respected by them. So my question is, how do you improve on having more confidence in companies that have contracts and want to expand in states? Because the foreign organizations like investors in other countries are willing to come, but the foreign exchange risk is making it highly unprofitable. So we don't have a choice but to come to you. So how do you want to step up with helping us to deliver? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for appreciating the fact that loans approved must be repaid. Because it's part of what we look at through the appraisal. what is the probability that the loan will repay? Because it's only when you repay that others can come and support them, and you can also come for repeat transactions. Now, regarding public sector customers, that's why today many state governments have submitted themselves to rating agencies. We heard yesterday that Kaduna State government has the best rating with stable outlook in the country. That was what we were told. So it depends on the case-by-case basis. If you come to us with a transaction with the Kaduna State government and we look at your cash flow, if we can lay hands, if we can domicile payments, if we can get an ISPO to show that payment will make BOI, trust me, we will honor it. We do work with some federal government agencies, and without disclosing much, we've supported entrepreneurs on the strength of assurances, strong assurances given to us by the relevant arms of the federal government, and we shall continue to do so. Then we also have performance bonds. The insurance companies can issue performance bonds to support such repayment programs. But we will not discourage you. We'll say, come to us on a case-by-case basis. It depends on the state government in question. We'll always work out solutions that can ensure that the win-win situation emerges, because you must render the service to the state government, earn your profits. We must also ensure that the loans are repaid to the bank of industry. Talking about the exchange risk, it's a major problem now, and we're working with our risk management department and other private sector as well as international agencies to see what hedging arrangements can be put in place. Because clearly we cannot have enough resources domestically to meet our development needs as a country.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Chief Mayor, thank you very much for being on site. December 5, it's good to have you here tonight. Honorable Minister, I appreciate your being here with us. Good to have you here. You will be our KadInvest. Honorable Minister, thank you very much for being here with us. I really appreciate you all. Thank you and God bless. Thank you.
We thank you very much for doing a very, very good job. The moderator there, Haji Suleiman Abubakari, Commissioner for Finance, Kebbi State, the Honorable Minister of State for Trade and Investment, Haji Aisha Abubakar, Honorable Minister of State for Budget and National Planning, Haji Zainab Shamsuna Ahmed, Ms. Emma Essia, Mr. Wahidu Labuju, Acting MD, CEO of Industry, Ibrima Fahal, Country Director, African Development Bank, Honorable Mohammed Al-Bashir Maidu, Vice President, Nigeria Islamic Development Bank, and Mr. GE Transport. Thank you very much. Okay. The second session, photographs with chief executives of the various states. Okay, I need to hear, please correct what the moderator called the project of Her Excellency the wife of the Governor of the Kaduna State, Haji Erufai. It is actually Kaduna State Emergency Nutrition Action Plan, KadInvest. Okay, that's Her Excellency's project. Well, for now, the moment has come that everybody has stayed here for. The moment has come that you have been waiting for, the synergy from all the chief executives of Northwest Nigeria. Doing, you have that platform.
Thank you, Mayor. At this point, I'd like to invite His Excellency, the Governor of Kano State. Okay. All right, wanted to save this for the last, but let me invite the moderator of this session, where we'll be talking about regional integration and development of Northwest states. Really, we want to have a change in the names of participants here, but we should be getting ready with the Governor of Kano State, His Excellency will be here with us on this high side. We also have His Excellency Honorable Abdulaziz Abukayari, Governor of the State and Chairman Governor's Forum. We also have His Excellency the Deputy Governor of Jigawa State, Barrister Ibrahim Hassan Khadija, to be part of it, and of course, Chief Host, His Excellency Actors to also join here and to moderate for us this afternoon. It's not joining us, okay, let's take it. And so we have our moderator, Dr. Usman Bugaji, Chairman, Area Research and Development Program. We're getting it all set before you come.